Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We're excited to have you here today for our webinar, PERT for Trainees, what we do, why it matters, and how you can join. My name is Shivax Rao. I'm a cardiology fellow at Guthrie Clinic in Pennsylvania, and I'm also a member of the PERT Trainee Council. On behalf of the council and all the members here today, welcome and thank you for taking the time to learn more about PERT and about how trainees can get involved. For those of you who may be new to PERT, the PERT Consortium is a multidisciplinary organization that's dedicated to improving the care of patients with pulmonary embolism and venous thromboembolism. PERT brings together clinicians, researchers, and educators across specialties to advance education, research, and collaboration within this space. Specifically, the PERT Trainee Council was created to ensure that trainees such as ourselves have a meaningful voice within the consortium. And our goal is to support trainee development through education, resources, mentorship, and leadership. We work closely with the PERT leadership to design programs, resources that reflect the needs and interests of trainees at various stages of training in various disciplines of practice.
Thanks for starting us off, Shavax. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Miriam Shams, an internal medicine resident at Sutter Roseville Medical Center, interested in pulmonary critical care, and also a member of the PERT Consortium Trainee Council. During today's session, you'll hear from our 6 current junior trainee council members as we take turns discussing what we do, why this work matters for trainees, what it's like to serve on the council, and how you can get involved. We'll also leave time at the end for questions, so feel free to submit them throughout the webinar. We're glad you're here, and we hope today's conversation helps you decide whether the PERT Trainee Council might be a good fit for you. With that, I'll turn it over to our next speaker to introduce the PERT Consortium in more detail.
All right, thank you so much, Miriam. So my name is Alex Fan. I'm a second-year pulmonary critical care fellow at Loma Linda University, and I'll be kind of telling you guys a little bit about what PERT is and what the Trainee Council is. All right. So PERT stands for Pulmonary Embolism Response Team. The mission of the PERT Consortium is to improve the care and outcomes of patients with acute PE through multidisciplinary collaboration, education, research, and evidence-based clinical practice. The consortium promotes rapid, coordinated decision-making for complex PE cases and works to advance standards of care worldwide. Essentially, one of the key things also is what is the role of the PERT Consortium in research and training. Essentially, it helps translate research into practice and build the next generation of PE experts. Sorry, my slides are lagging a little bit here. Internationally, the PERT Consortium serves as an international collaborative network that facilitates multi-center research to improve understanding of PE diagnosis, risk, stratification, and treatment. It also maintains clinical registries to generate real-world evidence, such as the PERT database. Also develops educational resources, guidelines, and best practices for centers around the world. We also provide training opportunities through webinars such as this one, conferences, workshops, and mentorship opportunities. We foster collaboration among clinicians, scientists, and trainees across institutions and different specialties. So the next question is, why was the Trainee Council created? It was created to amplify the voices of trainees, such as students, residents, fellows, postdocs, early career professionals within the consortium. It provides structured mentorship, leadership, and networking opportunities. Supports career development in PE-related clinical care, research, and education. It also encourages active trainee involvement in consortium initiatives, research projects, and educational programming. And build a sustainable pipeline of future PERT leaders. Can I please have the next slide? The Trainee Council is a 2-year role. There are 6 junior members and 6 senior members, chaired by 2 members from senior class, and also overall mentored by PERT faculty. Can I please have the next slide? Sorry for the background noise.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sydney. I am a PGY2 pharmacy resident at Grady Memorial Hospital in Atlanta, Georgia. So what are our key initiatives and activities? What do we do as part of PERT? And this spectrum ranges across different engagement in research, scholarships, as well as professional and educational activities. So as the Trainee Council, one of our major commitments is organizing the trainee boot camp. And this is something that's conducted at the beginning of our annual meeting, also known as the PERT Consortium Symposium. And this consists of kind of our coming all together and designing. Similarly to how it looked last year, we had a range of different topics that we covered. So both in terms of acute care, as well as more so long-term care of PE patients and things like CTEPH. And this helps to just kind of provide trainees with a background going into the meeting, and it's specifically tailored for that trainee style. We also had some hands-on activities. For example, we got to work with different echocardiograms. And overall, we had an interactive lunch and a few case-based questions afterwards. So that's something that we're responsible for designing and kind of helping to conduct run. Another area that we do is we will have design a survey that we will conduct as well during the symposium. So this year, what we did was pre-procedural anticoagulation. So this served as a great opportunity to kind of gauge what the current landscape looks like. You have all these PE experts in the room. And so from there, we can take that survey data and kind of decide what we want to do further with it. So for example, this year, part of our other initiatives are going to be research. So we get to help in designing and being involved in different research projects. So this led to us investigating or submitting for a proposal, periprocedural anticoagulation during catheter-based therapies. And then another research initiative that we are exploring is going to be catheter-directed thrombolysis versus anticoagulation in normotensive PE patients with elevated lactate. And then additionally, in terms of professional engagement, there's different committees that we can be members of and participate. Those include communications as well as membership. So for example, we have the PERT podcast, as well as these PERT webinars that we help in designing as well. And then next slide, please. And so here's just a sneak peek into some of this in real life and what it actually looks like. So on the left-hand side, we have Cardio Nerds, which two of our senior council members are currently creating a PE-based series with Cardio Nerds. So stay tuned for that to be released. And then as well on the right, during the annual symposium, we were able to work with the communications committee in conducting these man-on-the-street interviews. So we were able to ask different PE experts questions that were designed specifically to either what they presented on or their particular area of practice, and then help with distributing these. Next slide.
Hi, everyone. My name is Francis Ogunaya. I'm one of the PGY4 Hematology Oncology Fellow here at Robert Wood Johnson Medical School in New Jersey, and also a first-year member of the PET Training Council as well, too. I'm going to spend the next couple of minutes talking about, what it's actually like to be on the Training Council. And honestly, I'll tell everyone, it's a very good experience for me so far, and the time, commitment is very manageable. We usually meet virtually once or twice a month, depending on whatever project we're working on. And usually on Monday evenings from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m., which has been easy for me, to fit around my clinical responsibilities as a fellow. Also, we have a very strong community and also strong mentorship, like my colleagues we are mentioning as well too. The faculty is very supportive. If you have difficulty like joining meetings or managing time, they're able to reach out to your program director to help allow you to be able to participate fully in the PETS training council. One really great aspect I would say is if you're selected as a training council member, You're protected in that role for 2 years. It's a 2-year role. During that time, you are supported to attend the international conference that we usually have, usually around summer/fall. The last one was in September in San Diego. And with registration, travel, accommodation is covered, fully covered for you to attend the conference, which you get to learn, and also like network and engage, and also a great way to also serve as a good mentorship as well too. Overall, I would say it's been a very supportive, low stress and rewarding experience, being as a trainee council member. And I'm encouraging everyone to join us if you're interested. It's going to be a good experience for you as well too. Next slide. So this is the picture from our last conference in San Diego, which was fun. We were, by the beach. We were able to learn and also like have fun by the beach, swim. So this is us in the conference. This was when we had like a get together at one of the restaurants, have like a nice dinner as well too. So it's pretty rewarding experience, I would say. It's very educational. Next slide.
Hello, everybody. My name is Doğan Polat. I'm a PGY5 intervention radiology resident at Sinai, New York, and I'm going to talk about how to get involved. Like you listened all the great work that we have been doing, and it's time for you to get involved as well. So the application window is open right now, and the deadline is March 2nd. Every year, 6 members get selected to serve for a total of 2 years. So that's why we have been saying junior members and senior members, junior members referring to first year consortium, like trainee council members. It's a very multidisciplinary. We have like interventional radiology, cardiology, pulmonary, critical care, pharmacy, medicine, and I'm sure I'm forgetting even more. And if you heard about this meeting, like this webinar, you're definitely eligible. Can we please go to the next slide? Um, so it's for every level, as I mentioned, medical school, residency, and fellows. And the only criteria that you should be careful about is we cannot have 2 people from the same institution at the same time. But apart from that, you're good to go. And I also sent the link to the chat, and you can see the QR code on the corner. If you can just scan it, it will take you directly to the application window. And personally, it has been a great experience. I've been involved with many professional organizations at various capacity, and I can say this is by far the most active one. If you're passionate about PE, be it research, advocacy, projects, podcasts, webinars, like this is the place for you. Next slide, please.
So here we just have some images from the year so far, kind of highlighting some of the things that we've done as trainee council members. On the top left, you see us at the symposium. Same thing on the top right. Bottom left, there is a point of care ultrasound course for echocardiography, as well as ultrasound of the lower extremity arteries, veins, that was guided by leading experts in the field. And then on the bottom right, that's a picture that you already saw earlier. All of us at a steakhouse in San Diego during the PERT meeting this past year. So I just wanted to say thank you to all the speakers for the thoughtful, informative presentations, and thank you for everyone in the audience that's been listening so far and engaging hopefully throughout the session. I would like to share a little bit about how I got involved with the PERT Training Council personally as well. I was a vascular medicine fellow at the University of Virginia last year, part of the PERT team at that institution. And that really got me interested in the space of venous thromboembolism and pulmonary embolism care. I personally heard about PERT through another related society, and I'm super grateful for the experience so far. I've been learning a lot, collaborating a lot, not just with my colleagues, but also, faculty and other leaders in the field. There's a very good overlap between education, training, research collaboration, and skill development that I think will be giving me skills that'll last a lifetime. I also invite Miriam to share her experience as we're moderating the rest of the session on how she got involved with PERT.
Thank you for all the speakers who shared their insights about the PERT Consortium and the work that we do today. To share a little bit about how I got involved with the PERT Consortium, my hospital initiated a PERT program, and when I was searching online, I found information about the PERT Consortium. I talked about it with my mentors, and one of them mentioned that they had openings for the trainee council application cycle at the time. So I applied, and I'm really grateful and glad that I joined. It's been truly a great experience, and I highly recommend it to anyone. Thank you.
So we've covered a lot today, content-wise, from what the PERT Consortium is to the role of the Trainee Council specifically, what our members do, why the work specifically matters for trainees, and how you can get involved. But at this point, we'd like to open up the floor for questions. We can move on to the next slide. We'll head into the Q&A open forum. So if you have a question, please feel free to submit it using the Q&A feature in the chat box.
Also, as a reminder, the session is meant to be informal and conversational. We'll do our best to answer as many questions as we can in the time that we have today. And if we're unable to get to anything, we'll make sure to follow up with resources after the webinar. So with that, we invite your questions and look forward to a great discussion.
While we wait for questions to roll in, I can get started with one of the speakers. Why don't I start with Sydney? What was your experience at the symposium, Sydney? How were you involved, and how did you find that experience overall?
Yes. So the symposium for me was a very, coming from a background of pharmacy where, I may be considered the odd one out. It most certainly didn't feel like I was the odd one out there. I think it really opened my mind. I'm used to going to pharmacy-based conferences. And so, seeing what a true multidisciplinary program and overall approach to patient care can do has really opened my eyes to what you can learn and take away from that. How I was involved, probably one of the major things to highlight from that aspect was conducting the anticoagulation survey so that we were able to distribute out and get information and feedback from and actually present it live during one of the physician's presentations that she had. And so it's very interesting to see how we really do still have a lot of gaps in that area, and hence why we're pursuing trying to explore that in our next research steps. Additionally, something else to kind of mention as well, I think that was a interesting aspect of PERT was we were able to help with the communications team. So as I mentioned, some of us had did the man on the street interviews, but we also were involved in kind of distributing different kind of messages and updates about various sessions that we were attending through social media, on Twitter. And this was something that was, encouraging us to try and see other sessions that we were interested in. So one of the ones that I had attended was how to form your own PERT as well. And I think overall it was very, very eye-opening. I'm excited to take the next steps and see what the rest of the multidisciplinary world has for me.
Thanks for sharing, Sydney. Certainly a unique perspective. And hopefully, we hope that, everyone has similar sort of experiences as they go through these experiences as part of the PERT Training Council. Miriam, do you want to take over and kind of see if someone else has any other specific things they want to share?
Sure. Alex, Dino posted in the chat, do you find that being a member of the trainee council helped you navigate your options for additional training and how to tailor a training pathway towards caring for PE patients?
I do think that being a part of the council has been very helpful for me. It's definitely given me an eye-opening experience to the multidisciplinary nature of PE care. I do think it's given me a lot of different role models and mentors to look up to and see how they've incorporated PERT consortium into their practice and how they operate. And I think it's a great way of spreading the culture and awareness to all the different institutions. So yeah, I do think it's been a great experience.
Thanks. I agree. For me personally, the one thing that the PERT Consortium and the symposium has really opened my eyes to is how we can distribute and share this information with residents and fellows at our own programs, and how we can take the information and apply it to our own clinical practices. I've seen increased teaching of the ESC PE risk guidelines at my own program, more discussion about PE cases and how to function and operate with PERT programs.
So I have a question for Dohan, who's one of our interventional radiology residents currently. Probably, we're all in these busy training programs, and we're obviously having this commitment of being a PERT training council member. So how do you personally balance your responsibilities as a trainee with your responsibilities as a council member?
Yeah, sure. And before I start, like if it's not for anything, you can also come for the swag. Like we have amazing caps, like we have socks that I use like every day pretty much. Um, and to answer your question, the ask is not too much. It's definitely manageable, regardless of how busy your training program is. And plus, every member, including the faculty that is involved with trainee council, they're super flexible. We have a WhatsApp chat, and like you can ask any questions, ask for help anytime. Even like preparing this presentation, it was online late at night, early in the morning. So it's definitely doable because the culture, the flexible culture, and the passion for PE is there. So that makes everything easy. And outside of this, it doesn't require you to work, 5 hours a day for the trainee council as well. It's pretty much like what you want to do. The opportunities are limitless. And for a trainee, it's definitely manageable. And to just piggyback on the previous question, I also think that the benefit of the trainee council does not necessarily end with training. Um, like at the conference and in our meetings, we always talk about how to start a PERT program at an institution, which is immensely useful wherever you go or at what capacity you're involved with PERT. And it helps you connect with other luminaries in the field, like other leaders in the field, which may be also quite helpful in the future if you're starting a PERT program or doing anything PERT related.
Excellent. Yeah, I definitely agree with you. As someone who switched between programs personally, I finished one fellowship last year. I started a second fellowship this year, and I can certainly say with differing workloads and differing environments and differing responsibilities within the training programs themselves, I'm still able to continue, as far as the requirements go. And it's, as Dohan mentioned, it's very doable, and it's been an enriching experience so far, and there's a pretty good return on investment for the time that you put in being a part of this council. Also, the other thing is, it's a very multidisciplinary council, as you can tell. Every Each and every one of us are from a different program and a different specialty. And because of that, not only do we bring unique perspectives on how we approach PE patients and the care of PE patients, but we also see members within the PERT consortium from various specialties and their expert opinions on how to approach these patients. And not only that, we also frequently rub elbows with current experts in the field, like such as in the meeting, such as in the symposium, for example. So, definitely there's a good balance with our training, and there's a lot of benefit that comes along with it too.
Absolutely agreed. One thing, that kind of just made me think about how at my program, I think my program directors have really allowed me to incorporate this into my overall training. So, for example, with pharmacy, something that we investigate is a medication use evaluation. So this year, it's been tailored to kind of match that with my involvement in PERT. So we're going to be looking at having a pharmacist respond to any thrombolytic dosing that's used, systemic thrombolytics in PE. And so they'll be responding to those PERT calls as well. And so I'll be evaluating that. And on top of it, it's allowed me to also have an opportunity for spreading that education as well and taking the things that I learned from the symposium. So, for example, I just had a presentation on Tuesday where I got to explore kind of what our different treatment options are, how we would apply that to practice in our intermediate high risk population, and which is an area that some pharmacists may never really get involved in. So I think it's a great way to take what you learn and distribute it amongst others and help grow that interest in this field.
Please continue to enter audience questions and into the chat. We're here to answer and share any information today that we can. Something about the symposium that I really enjoyed and was very memorable for me is we got to meet Dr. Wells of the Wells criteria. So when we talk about rubbing elbows with the experts, we mean literally the experts that make the criteria we follow. Question I have for Francis today is, what is something that surprised you most about being on the trainee council?
Um, I would say initially when I joined, it was mostly people from like palm crate, cardiology, vascular, interventional radiology, and I was only the I was only hematology oncology fellow on the training council. So that's why we need like more people from him on oncology. But in general, I would say it's very like multidisciplinary committee, and you get to learn a lot, especially when managing pulmonary embolism from your colleagues. Something that you never see. As a hemonc doctor, you get to see what happens in the cath lab, what happens in the field, and everything before they come to you for like anti-coagulation management. So I'll say overall it's been a good experience for me.
I can also answer that question. I think my biggest surprise was how involved and invested the faculty are in the trainee council. Honestly, like you listen to them at conferences like Dr. Vest, Horovitz, Rosovsky, and like you read their papers and then you meet with them at like 8 p.m. and they're like super interested in what you want to do in the trainee council and what's available. I think that's a big plus.
Yeah, I agree. And going off of what Francis said, Sydney said as well, the multidisciplinary exposure that you get in this community is incredible. When you go to the symposium, you'll see people from all fields, and we're all getting together to share our ideas and our perspectives from the different parts of the PERT program, the different processes of taking care of a patient with PE. And it's really cool because you get the opportunity to also try being hands-on with catheter-based interventions, which is something that I may not ever personally do, but you get to have that experience. And I found that really unique about this council symposium and group.
So we have a question that just popped in the chat. Someone that's a hematology oncology fellow asking, as a trainee council member, what does a very involved month look like for you? Francis, you want to start off with this one?
Um, I mean, typically we meet like maybe like twice or like once a month, depending on whatever project we're working on. But the time is very flexible for me. I'm still able to do my clinical duties and still come in and join the meeting, without having like any problems anywhere. So I would say it's doable and it's very flexible and it's not very busy. Like it's not very busy. It's something that you can both manage. And the faculty they are very understanding. If you're not able to meet up with the meeting, you can say, "Hey, I'm not able to meet up with the meeting today." Then you can be informed because we have like a WhatsApp group where we usually post like updates, so you can be informed, whatever meeting that you did miss, and then stay up to date. So it's very flexible and the time is very manageable.
Though there is, I will just mention there is a sort of a minimum attendance requirement as being part of this council. So, there is flexibility to miss meetings, but it's also important to attend meetings when you're able to. And we try to coordinate a time. Some of us are on the West Coast, some of us are on the East Coast, some of us are in the Midwest. Obviously, different time zones. We try to coordinate that as best as possible between the faculty members and the trainees. There's also a few more questions that were asked in the chat earlier, just to echo if you know those have not been seen by any of the attendees. There were questions regarding individuals applying when they're midway through fellowship, such as year two of a 3-year fellowship, and if they're eligible to apply. The answer being yes, you are, as long as you're a trainee during the first year of your council membership. And then there was also another question asking whether only a single person from an institution can be a part of the council. The answer is yes. We try to have single institution for trainee council memberships. That's correct.
And there's another question. Actually, that's a great question, and I think we can all answer it. What is PERT call like at your institution? It's not necessarily trainee council related, but we can all, I think, comment on it real fast. The PERT team, in which specialties are represented in the team, is different at every institution. Plus, who does the catheter-directed procedures are also like widely different at institution. In my institution, interventional radiology does the procedures, and there's no separate PERT call. So whoever is on IR call also does all the PERT activations, and like everyone can comment on it quickly.
I also think a lot of us have different types of PERTs that we're a part of. Some PERTs are more extensive, have more buy-in from like more departments. And you know, for me, I have one institution where we have IR, cardiology, pulm crit, so on and so forth, involved in one of the PERTs. But the other one we call a diet PERT. It's really just between pulm crit and IR. And so I think for us, it's really nice that we have this kind of differing experiences. And so PERT call is different for every hospital that we're at. And it's nice that we're able to share these kinds of experiences because, for example, in more like resource limited settings, the diet PERT might be a better way of going forward. So hopefully that kind of answers and gives some of my perspective.
So personally, last year when I was a vascular medicine fellow, our PERT was basically involving in the MICU team, vascular medicine team, and interventional radiology team. And it would be a multidisciplinary discussion. A call would be rotating call in terms of the primary person that would be taking call. But the discussion would always be multidisciplinary about how to proceed, especially for the intermediate high risk PE patients where the decisions are a little more complicated, whether a patient would be managed medically versus with percutaneous catheter-based therapy. Cardiac surgery would sometimes be involved in the call as well. And I think a lot of the things that we learn from attending the conferences and also kind of learning more about the literature, whether it's through journal clubs and things like that, would help translate into what we would do during these PERT calls. Um, at my current institution, moving from a medical side to more of an interventional side, I'm now basically involved with triaging the patient and then also with the intervention, whether it's a pulmonary artery thrombectomy or lysis. So the involvement can really vary, as you know, Dohan mentioned previously. It can vary from institution to institution in terms of who's the primary responder for PERT call and how do you go about navigating a PERT call. Um, it's not necessarily something that's part of your responsibility as a PERT training council member, though. That would be just based on your own institutional training and whatever's involved. But there's a lot of resources and education and training that you will benefit from as a training council member that you can apply towards PERT call.
So, gang, this was really great and awesome, and you're doing, um, a great job with these questions. I want to ask you a little bit more about your research. My name is Mae West. I'm one of the faculty advisors for the Trainee Council and the vice president of the PERC Consortium. So, can you tell me a little bit about the unique access to the PERC database, statistician, about the manuscript that you have prepared, and maybe some of your research proposals? I know you mentioned them in your presentation, but I think this is some of the fun stuff that we're working on now, and wondering if you guys could expand on that a little bit more. Chivax.
All right, I'll take this one. So, as part of the PERT Training Council, we do have this unique access to the PERC registry database. It's a unique database collecting data on PERT patients from multiple institutions nationally. And we have not only access to this to pursue our own research projects, but then also the opportunity to submit a proposal to gain access as a junior training council member. So we recently submitted a couple of proposals to leverage the PERT database towards moving forward and publishing manuscripts related to the data therein. Last year's class, so the current senior class has prepared a manuscript, very interesting manuscript related to PE and pregnancy, and again leveraging the database from there. So it's a good opportunity. It's a very good opportunity to not only have access to a large sort of field of data, multiple data points, but have some strong data to work on in terms of our interests within PE care. The other thing too is statistician availability. We do have access for statistical analysis when sort of going through these data sets and support from biostatisticians.
And let me double down on that. My name is Jim Horowitz. I'm one of the other faculty advisors. I'm a critical care cardiologist from NYU. And there's six faculty advisors as part of the trainee council. There's multiple, everyone is on the PERT board or is previously or was Rachel Rosofsky, previously president, Mae West, current vice president. So and they come from a wide background of cardiology for me, crit care, pulm for May, hemonc, IC, IR. So we're trying to cover and PH, trying to cover all the different specialties so that all the members can have somebody who does what they do or someone they look up to, and everyone's allowed to obviously work with whoever they want to. Um, and as far as the research perspective goes, the PERC database is a massive database of PE patients, one of the biggest in the world, and people submit requests to get one of the rare four submissions per year that we analyze. And this group has a guaranteed submission per year. So that's a huge win, I think, for people who are part of the training council. And I really want to stress that it's competitive and we have a guaranteed spot. And it's a great way to really learn research, burnish your CV, meet people in your field, in other fields and other specialties, and hopefully something that people find very fun as well.
The other highlight, I guess we can probably talk about a little more is collaboration with other societies and also other organizations such as the Cardio Nerds Initiative. So Dinu and Billy Joe, two of our senior council members, are spearheading that with Cardio Nerds leadership, where we do certain sessions of podcast recordings with them related to topics that overlap between cardiology and PE care and venous thromboembolism. So that's been another sort of unique take that the PERT Training Council members do have access to during this term in terms of creating these resources for trainees.
Application for deadlines is March 2nd. Just wanted to answer that question real fast.
Oh, and hi everyone. Not sure if you can see or hear me. My name is Dino Belenescu. I'm one of the members of the trainee council, the second class in the inaugural class. So we were on the hamster wheels for the past year or so, and it's been nothing but a phenomenal experience. I'd say there's a little to add on top of what my friends and colleagues already mentioned. I will say that it's been a very productive experience from a research standpoint, a networking standpoint, an education standpoint. And the trainee council really is not a distinct, let's say, totally separate entity from the main PERT consortium, if there is such a thing. Rather, we are involved in multiple committees. So it's quite the thing to still be in training, still learning the ropes of your specialty, but then meet once a month with the folks who are literally writing the book on PE, or writing the guidelines, or writing the clinical protocols. You're in the same meeting with them, and you can just unmute yourself and essentially have a voice almost as strong as them in such a meeting. So I don't know of any other professional organization that allows trainees to participate at this high a level. I certainly took a lot of these lessons and opportunities back to my home institution and adjusted some or proposed adjustments to some of our protocols based on what I've learned, including the way we analyze data and what to include, and tailoring our data based on what I saw the PERT Consortium does, and we're starting, interinstitutional collaboration. So it's really a catapult towards advancing your understanding of PE care, your credibility as a future PE expert, and a way to network and get to learn from the best in the field. So I'd absolutely encourage you all to apply and be a part of this organization. It's definitely been a highlight of my training so far, and I think my colleagues already made a point of that and how it applies to them as well. So we hope to get to meet some, if not most of you, soon.
And we also were very excited to meet Dinu's whole family, and including his child, and watch him match and see him succeed. And I tell you, this is so fulfilling for us as well as like the old guys here. Well, not May, but
Oh,
me. The old
goodness.
guys here.
That is so kind of you, Jim. I forgot to add one of the main perks is that being in any message thread with Jim Horowitz is like being part of a stand-up show. Like his dad jokes are second to none. So
Yeah.
that is one of the main benefits.
I appreciate that. I have to also call it Rachel Rosofsky, who was a prior PERT president, was the person who first was the genesis of this whole project. And this was nothing that I ever saw when I was a trainee. I was just doing my clinical job and live my life and trying to figure out what to do and to apply for jobs. There was no opportunities like this to work with a national organization, let alone, get access to the database, have at least two webinars dedicated to the group where, as you guys saw, like, the faculty, we don't lead the webinar. The training council leads webinar. They define what they want to do. They give the talks, like they do whatever they want to do, and we just support them. And I think that's really key in development of trainees and faculty. And I think the more you blur the line between trainees and faculty, the smarter you are. I mean, these are your future colleagues, these are the future leaders, and this has been a really fulfilling relationship for me so far.
And speaking along those same lines, also one of the other key moments, I think, key experiences of this training, which is open to really everyone, not just the PERT Training Council, has been the training boot camp. If we can go to the next slide, we do have the dates for next year's boot camp as well as annual PE scientific symposium here. So certainly save these dates if you're interested in learning more about PERT and learning more about PE care, learning more about the organization. It's definitely a very fulfilling experience. I can say that. If I might go and ask Alex, what was the highlight of the PERT trainee boot camp for you as a critical care fellow?
Yeah, honestly, I was going to comment no matter what. I would say first things first, this is going to be the first part of the entire exciting conference. So it gives you an insight into what PERT is like, and what goes into PERT. And my favorite part ultimately was the echocardiogram portion, the hands-on aspect of being able to play with the different thrombectomy systems. And honestly, the didactics were phenomenal. It was very case-based and evidence-based as well. So you guys should look forward to the upcoming symposium and training boot camp.
It's also the first time that we get to all meet each other in person as well. So I think starting off early on, in this environment and planning and coming together really gives you more of the opportunity to progress throughout the year and really know who you're working with and be able to have more meaning to the whole team together. We also were lucky enough to somehow at the last symposium get a little concert from Third Eye Blind. So that was actually very cool. It was the grand opening of the hotel that we were at, and we were able to see and listen to some music as well while we were there.
And I would add also with the boot camp. I mean, one of the boot we've been doing the boot camp on and off for the past maybe 7 or 8 years, and there's been a lot of iterations. And one of the things that I really enjoy the most is when we do this stuff, we talk to the trainees and even now more powerfully with the trainee council and say what worked and what didn't work. The one thing that I learned a couple years ago. I mean, you guys heard about Cardio Nerds several times. I mean, it's a very wonderful organization, and Dean has done a lot of work with them. And you guys also heard that we're doing some webinars with them. That if I ever book a date with him for my session with May, we're getting there. But they're so great. And what I've learned more and more is the trainees should and can lead. They will tell you what you need to do, and they will tell you what they want, how to educate them, and they will lead the education themselves. And you'll just be there as an aide, like we were. Like we didn't show up until, 7:35, and that's because you don't need us, right? You guys are awesome, and you guys will tell us what you need and what you know, and you're also all, brilliant and fantastic. And that's been great for me. And so with the boot camp, we're always readjusting it every year over year, based on the feedback explicitly from the training council, formally in the past 2 years, and it's been great.
And also, as Sydney mentioned earlier, that this is also going to be like the first time you're going to see each other and interact with each other. And it'll
Yeah.
be a nice intro, not just to interact with each other as per training council members, but also the other trainees that come to the meeting as well.
Yeah.
Trying to, get familiarized with who's there, where everyone's training, what their training models are, and what you're excited to learn about at the meeting. Um, on this slide, we do have a couple QR codes if you want to go ahead and save those or scan those. This will provide direct access to the webinars, including this one, which should be uploaded in the next few days, but also all the historical webinars that have been recorded by the Training Council and by the PERT Consortium in general. And then there's also PERTcast, which is a podcast discussing important topics in PE care that you can easily access through that second QR code. As a reminder as well, if we move to the next slide, we have the dates for the application. Next slide, please. It's going to show you the deadline for the application for the PERT Training Council. There's a link in the webinar chat, and then there's also dates here talking about when the interviews will be conducted and when the final decisions will be sent out. Um, Miriam, did you have anything else to add regarding the application or the upcoming meetings?
I think you covered majority of it. Something that I did want to add about our symposium is that we also have an abstract presentation. So do look out on the website for the upcoming deadline for abstract submission. And I know for residents, trainees, fellows, in all aspects, being able to submit an abstract is a great way to get your program to support you to go to and attend this conference. And I really recommend coming and joining us for our trainee boot camp on the first day because it is a great introduction to diagnosing PE and managing it. We also have an interactive discussion session where we go through cases, which is really nice.
As most of us are junior council members currently, I do want to open up a question to everyone as we're kind of halfway through our first year, heading into the tail end, and then we have a whole second year. What are you most excited? What are you most excited about as this year kind of closes off and we become senior training council members? Why don't I start with Francis?
Hi. I'm really excited to be a senior training council member. I mean, to also help train the junior ones that are going to be coming to join us next year as well too. And then to also be able to finish our, upcoming research project we're working on as a senior training council member. And then probably like continue to learn as well too, being on the team as well too.
Um, I'll comment. I'm pretty excited about helping plan the upcoming CERT trainee boot camp, and then also contributing to the upcoming symposium. I don't know if anyone mentioned this earlier. I don't think I heard this, but we were also very involved in the social media aspect too. So constantly throughout the entire meeting, we were tweeting some of the updates, some of the hot articles that came out, some of the interesting discussions, and so it is really being involved with how the entire symposium goes is really exciting, and I'm looking forward to it for this upcoming year.
I can go next. I'm really excited to meet our next set of trainee council members and really excited to meet everyone at the conference later this year because we're going to meet in person after a year and meet the new trainee council members for the first time. And we get to discuss our projects that we've been working on in person and discuss what we've been doing at our own programs with our PERT.
Miriam, I think some of your future colleagues are on this webinar right now. So we're going to encourage them to start looking at the application. There's a couple short answer questions about PERT and their experiences at their home institution. There is a letter of recommendation. So, if you do plan on applying, obviously giving your PERT mentor or your program director a little bit of a lead time to get that letter in. So that'll go in with your application. And get them in by March so we can look forward to interviewing you and meeting you and getting you introduced to our trainee council members. Again, reacquainted with them. I wanted to just, before I hand it back over to the team to wrap things up, I know we mentioned Dr. Rozovsky, Dr. Rachel Rozovsky, who's a hematologist at MGH. This was sort of her vision during her president year. And she was really inspired by a trainee council organization in one of her hematology institute associations and really kind of brought this to light and asked Jim and I to lead it, which we were thrilled about because of our close work with trainees and simulation and teaching. And at one time, I was Jim's fellow. So sort of, we'll say sort of kind of. I was in between cardiology and pulmonary critical care, kind of in that cardiopulmonary purgatory before I went into the pulmonary and critical care space. So, this is also really close to our hearts, and we love working with trainees, and it's just really fulfilling. And it's a great way to mentor people across the country in different fields. And I feel like it's really kind of full circle, and it's how I was mentored and how I was treated joining the PERT consortium as a junior faculty and mentored throughout the last several years by many leaders in the consortium, past presidents, people on the executive committee. So, selfishly, one of the other reasons why we wanted to form a trainee council is we have a pipeline to some of the next leaders in PE care. So the folks you see on the trainee council, we fully intend all of our council members to continue on within the consortium on committees. Hopefully, some of them will be committee chairs one day, be on the board, maybe even on the executive committee. So this is really to help develop folks' careers, develop a niche really area within their specialty or subspecialty to be able to network. And trust me, one day when you're going up for promotion and you can write a letter to multiple people and get a letter of recommendation supporting your promotion, this is really great things for career building and being invited to speak nationally at organizations and associations that's not even directly maybe within or outside your specialty. So it's such a great experience. It's such a great organization to be a part of. And this is a really, really unique experience, I feel like, for trainees to get so involved within the organization. So in addition to Jim, myself, and Rachel, we have three other trainee council faculty mentors. We have Wissam Jaber, who's an interventional cardiologist at Emory. Allison Witkin, who is a pulmonologist and intensivist who specializes in pulmonary hypertension. She is also at MGH. and Mona Ronaday, who is an interventional radiologist at Stanford now. So these folks have been working really closely with the group here. As Francis mentioned, we have monthly calls. If we have special projects that are getting done, we may break up into smaller groups and meet with one or two of the faculty members with a small group of trainees. So we work, very closely. Our monthly meeting is our big meeting with everybody, and then we're meeting on our special projects, sort of working offline over email and things like that. But it's really a great way to work closely with faculty, get that mentorship, really get insights from people in different fields, which, you know, um, some things you don't think of until you talk to a hematologist. Having a pharmacist on the council is incredible, so we get that insight as well. Just really great insights, multidisciplinary care, which really is representative of our PERT teams. I want to thank you guys for hosting a great webinar. And why don't I pass, if there's any more comments from the panel, but I'll pass it over back to Miriam and Shivax, and you guys maybe can take us home.
Well, thank you so much, everyone, first of all, for joining today's webinar. It was a pleasure to share more about the PERT Consortium, more about the PERT Training Council. We really hope that you've gained some useful information out of this session today, and hopefully that'll empower you to also go ahead and apply for this position for the upcoming year. We're excited to meet you during the interviews and also maybe work with some of you next year. So it was really a great evening. And thank you again for spending this time at this hour with us tonight.